We begin our newscast tonight with BTL's proposed acquisition of Smart, and 3 cable companies is in peril after a day of many major developments, which has put the proposed mega-million-dollar deal under harsh and unfavorable scrutiny. Here to go over this very eventful day with me tonight is News Director Jules Vasquez. Jules, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Yes, so let's get right into it. Where do we stand with this proposed deal tonight, Jules?
So where we stand is that a vote on it by the BTL board. The BTL board met at 11 this afternoon and they broke around 2:30 maybe, and the vote has been deferred. A vote was expected today, and they wanted that vote to be favorable to approve the acquisition. But it did not go through because there is a lot of disquiet on the BTL board of directors. The directors feel they're being rushed, feel they're being pushed into a decision. So we have to start the day's events with what happened last night. We reliably informed Miriam that Chandra Nisbet Cancino resigned from the BTL board of directors. Now,
Yes.
she represented Social Security on that board of directors. And so she resigned, and that really is a major setback and an embarrassment for the government. We understand, and we have the updated graphic of the board, so that's one less board member. We understand also that Imogen Habet, who also represents Social Security Board, her resignation may be in the offing or in the wind on its way. Now, they remain members of Social Security's board.
Okay.
Social Security Board had an emergency meeting yesterday, so that board member is gone,
Yeah.
and that other board member is in the wind. As I understand it, they feel that critical negotiations and transactions were done or are being done without the proper board involvement and inclusion. And the chair, they believe, or persons on the board believe, certainly Ms. Cancino believed, is my report, the chair refused to disclose documents and agreements to board members. They did not feel comfortable making a decision that will have a long-term effect. This is, let us be clear, a $170 million proposed acquisition. It's
Yeah.
not a minor matter. These persons have a fiduciary duty to BTL, but they're also answerable to the Board of Social Security, and they are very cautious about putting Social Security Board money at risk. But everything has become known this week after months of us reporting on it and months of speculation. The board didn't hear anything, and then suddenly this week everything starts to come together, and everybody's being briefed by the chairman, who then can't vote in the board meeting, must recuse himself. So that was very unusual,
Yeah.
and the resignation of a prominent board member and a credible board member like Chandra Nisbet Cancino is a huge embarrassment for the government. Because, and it is certainly, I want to stress, for the Prime Minister. Because
Why specifically the Prime Minister?
why specifically the Prime Minister is because the cabinet has not approved this. They don't even know about it. Multiple ministers have told me they don't know anything. It has not gone to cabinet.
Okay.
I know this factually, and I regret to have to report that the Prime Minister, though his family has a vested interest, has personally called to persuade board members to support it. So we have the chairman, whose brother, the chairman, Mark Lizraga, whose brother owns CTI Cable, Next Gen, as it's called. He has been the one massaging the deal. He said he declared his conflict of interest to the board. And then on the other hand, you have the Prime Minister, who has called board members to personally explain to them why it's a good deal and why they should support it. Fine, I am not saying the deal is befouled, but I'm saying as Prime Minister, because of your compromise, because your family companies stand to benefit $45 million from this.
Wow.
You have to maintain more than an arm's length. And that has not happened. The Prime Minister has been actively involved in trying to, I don't want to use the word browbeat, but certainly trying to explain what he feels as the redeeming value of a transaction which will benefit his family directly. So, all this ferment leads to an extraordinary event, which we will show you shortly. The chairman of BTL had a press conference today.
Yes.
You know, it's been many years since we've been into the BTL boardroom, since the press has been invited. And that is really the broad contours of the deal, where Smart will be 80 million and the cable companies are 90 million. And these are approximate figures, and I brought them up today.
Yeah.
Nobody challenged them. These are approximate figures, right? They aren't, I can't say that I've seen them on a paper, but many people can't say that they have. But these are the approximate figures of who will benefit from this transaction. And I'm not saying, I want to stress that it's fraudulent, but I'm saying that the actors involved are too conflicted. So the chairman had a press conference today to take on all comers. Respect to that. I believe it should have been done months ago. And for months they've been running away from answering the questions. But he had a press conference, which we will show, saying, bring it on. Did that help? Did that press conference help the public perception of this sale? It is my belief that it did not. It is my belief that it did not. But it's arguable. And you will be able to make your own decision. We'll have much from it. They then went into a board meeting. A number of persons did not attend.
When you say a number of persons, who were those persons that did not attend?
I wasn't there to take roll, but I believe that the company secretary, who does not have a vote, Melissa Balramos Mahler did not attend. Chandra Nisbet Cancino had just resigned. She didn't attend. Imogen Habet did not attend. I am told there were a couple other persons who did not attend. And it's not a good look, right? It's not a good look. So the board meeting resolved with inconclusively. They did not take a vote. It was deferred. As I understand it, the SSB, the BTL board will try to get an audience with the SSB board. The SSB board held that emergency meeting yesterday, and I believe they told their directors, not at this time, we need to know more. That is what I believe happened at that meeting. Not at this time, we need to know more. So I believe BTL's Mr. Lizaraga and his financial team will try to convince the SSB board. But while that is happening internally, externally, agitation is building.
Yeah.
So we have critical statements that were released today, and I will go over them in the order they were released. NTUCB issued a statement, and we have the picture of it. The NTUCB statement calls for, it points to the direct exposure of social security funds to what it calls speculative risk. It says there's an absence of a modern and merger control framework for a regulatory perspective. And it says the failure of the Briceño administration to ensure meaningful public consultation. That's what they're saying. Therefore, the NTUCB calls for the following immediate action: immediate halt all steps towards acquisition. Ensure full and verified disclosure of beneficial ownership. Who's going to get the money? Launch a transparent national consultation. So that's what the NTUCB is calling for. Right? So, and they say at the end on page 2, together we will defend our pensions, our services, and our economy. And they demand responsible stewardship of public assets. A strong and defiant statement. Right? So now we turn next to a very big statement, because NTUCB often makes statements demanding more. But this next one is huge. It's from the 4 independent senators. There are 4 independent senators: Kevin Herrera, representing the business sector; Louis Wade, and we have the picture of it. Louis Wade, representing the churches; Glenfield Dennison, representing labor; and Janelle Chanona, representing the NGO community.
Okay.
And they put out a unified statement that is unprecedented. They said, we align with the calls made by Chamber of Commerce and NTUCB to pause all decisions related to the acquisition of commercial assets by BTL, pending full disclosure of all relevant information, including but not limited to independent valuation. So they want all the working papers. We believe any decision to transfer the telecommunications landscape to a monopoly is regressive. Important statement. But this is the one. In keeping with our oath to uphold the Constitution and the principles of social justice, we, the social partners, senators, serve notice that we will act as a unified bloc to exercise our powers and functions as senators to counter what we deem to be a sordid initiative. What does that mean? This isn't going to Parliament. This acquisition is proposed. So what does it mean to say you will exercise a unified bloc? I suspect it means, you see, the independent senators can give the government a lot of trouble. Every legislation that is passed, or most of it, except for money bills, has to be approved by the Senate.
Got you.
If they act as a unified bloc with the opposition, who is always ready to oppose, and say nothing will pass the Senate until you bring this matter to Parliament, to the people. If they do that, the government has a problem. If they do that, the government has a problem.
Do you think that will stall the eventual,
No. Remember now, this is a commercial arrangement. So the BTL is saying, this is commercial. This is just contracts between companies. This don't have to go to Parliament.
Right.
But, and you'll hear this point later in the news, it was put to the chairman today, no. BTL is a publicly owned private company.
Yes,
it may not be taxpayers' money in there, but it is public money.
Yeah, it's public.
It is public money. Government owns 49%, Social Security owns a third, 33%. That is public money. That's in BTL. Also, the acquisition of BTL cost the government of Belize that taxpayers had to pay $650 million. They had to pay that to the Ashcroft Alliance. Very costly.
Wow.
So I am saying that there is a public interest, and what the independent senators are alluding to is going to bring this thing to Parliament. Bring it to Parliament is bringing it to the people. And I am telling you, from the furious pace in which events have developed this week, the government is not on that speed.
Okay.
Let me refrain, not the government, the deal makers. And I regret to report again that the Prime Minister has showed his hand by making calls. But the deal makers behind the scenes, I won't include the Prime Minister in that. The deal makers have to get this done now. You know why? Because of the stage of the political cycle.
Okay.
Because light bill going up, water bill going up, property tax going up. Everything is going up. And they have to act urgently to seal this off.
Yeah.
Because $50 million, 170, the whole quantum is a lot of money. So I'm moving on from that very provocative statement from the senators, very unprecedented, to NEAB. They just issued one, that's the National Evangelical Association, and they are saying the National Evangelical Association is shocked to hear of the severely questionable acquisition of SpeedNet, NextGen Center, and Southern Cable Network. This proposed purchase already appears reprehensible by the nation of Belize to a blatant conflict of interest. This issue is lacking proper public consultation. So that is a strong statement.
Yeah.
The independent senators, so you see the language here, the independent senators called it a sordid initiative.
Sordid initiative, yeah.
That's what they called it. So I'm just saying the language is stepping up, and I'm going to draw a parallel here.
Okay.
And there's a chamber yesterday, right? The statement from the chamber, which we have footage of. That was a very strong statement as well. You see how these things are starting to accumulate. This is what happened. I was around in 2007 when the government decided to try and push through a loan that would have gone to one of the Ashcroft affiliates to pay back for universal health services after a secret guarantee was made. by the government. My point is, this is a gathering storm. Narda Garcia, who is a member of the board, knows this path very well. Narda Garcia, forgive me, has PTSD from SSB. Narda Garcia was there when the SSB board was involved with the entire Glenn Godfrey quagmire. She lost her job. I believe she was made the fall person for that job because of the role she played on the SSB board at that time. There are people who remember what happened in that era, 2004 to 2007. And this is very early, but this is starting to have shades, and Mr. Briceño has to be aware because there is no cabinet minister, just like the Josemaya and the Badback, who will jump out in front of this and say, I stand with the Prime Minister, or I stand with BTL, whoever. I stand with BTL in supporting this. There is none, because none of them have been told. None of them have been briefed. So they are in a perilous position. Now, the thing was supposed, the vote was supposed to go through today. Now
But
that
it was
it did
deferred.
not.
Yeah, the vote was deferred. So just to wrap up everything you were saying, Jules, because there's so much to
Right.
unpack here. But what I'm hearing too is that there seems to be, from the people who experienced what happened in the past, a collective anxiety about the storm that's brewing, that this will happen again.
Real.
So that's what I'm hearing. And then also, the vote was deferred. There seems to be some infighting. There's resignations happening. There's political secrecy. There's the 4 senators who are a unified bloc, and they want to pause all of the decisions. So with all that being said, and everything that you said in that nice little wrapped bow, I put everything in
Not
a little
so
present
little.
for you. Not so little bow. What happens next?
What happens next? I believe this was a deal that the framers wanted to conclude today, wanted BTL to vote on today. Now that they have not, it becomes a leaky dory, and it
Okay.
could capsize. And I think that the deal makers will have to decide how far they are prepared to go with this.
Okay.
How far are they prepared to go with this? There's going to be a huge examination. Is it worthwhile to buy 3 cable companies, as they call them now, fiber optic content providers? It's an Orwellian transplant of terms, but I'm saying that there's going to be a lot of public scrutiny, and it's not going to be good. And at this time, if they are wise, the framers would say, boy, reel and come again. But I don't know. Most of us don't know what it's like to see $50 million
Yeah.
materializing and then
Disappearing.
disappearing.
Yeah.
And so we have to wait and see. But let's, I know we still have a lot of coverage ahead, so thanks for giving me the time
Yes,
to
thank
give that
you.
background.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you so much for the update on where things stand right now. And we'll cover this more, I'm sure, as the time goes on and the story develops. So, and thanks for all the, updates about the context and today's events as well. And we'll hear more about that later.